3 days had passed since the encounter with the Imperial fleet. The horizon remained in the same position, surrounded by Admiral Vexter's ships. But the atmosphere had changed completely. The weapons were no longer pointed at the human vessel. The crews were no longer afraid. Instead, there was something new in the air. Curiosity. Commander Beak Ji-woo stood in the shuttle bay of the horizon, preparing for the most important meeting of her career. She wore a simple gray uniform with the Earth emblem on her shoulder, a blue circle representing their home planet. No medals, no decorations, just clean cloth and honest eyes. "Are you nervous?" Captain Park asked, standing beside her. "A little," she admitted. "I have negotiated with governments before. I have solved conflicts between nations. But this is the first time I will speak for all of humanity. You will do fine. Just remember what we discussed. We are not here to conquer. We are not here to threaten. We are here to offer something better." Commander Beak nodded. The shuttle door opened, and she stepped inside. Minutes later, she was flying toward the Imperial flagship Dominance, carrying with her the hopes of an entire species. The meeting room on the Dominance was decorated with trophies of war. Weapons from conquered species hung on the walls. Flags from destroyed nations covered the floor. It was designed to intimidate visitors, to remind them of the Empire's power. Commander Beak walked through it without flinching. Admiral Vexter and 3 members of the High Council were waiting for her. They sat behind a long table, their expressions serious. Guards stood at every door, holding weapons that Commander Beak knew were completely useless against her ship's technology. "Please, sit," Admiral Vexter said, gesturing to a chair across from them. Commander Beak sat down calmly. She placed a small device on the table, a translator that would ensure everyone understood each other perfectly. High Chancellor Mexnol spoke first. "Commander Beak, we have discussed your offer of peace among ourselves. We have many questions. I am here to answer them. Then let us begin with the most important one. You say you come in peace. You say you want to share knowledge. But what do you actually want from the Empire? No one travels this far without a purpose." Commander Beak smiled. "You are right, Chancellor. We do have a purpose. But it might surprise you." She touched the device on the table, and a holographic star map appeared. It showed the galaxy in beautiful detail. Billions of stars, thousands of known systems, and vast areas of unexplored space. Humanity has been exploring the galaxy for 200 years. In that time, we have discovered many things. New worlds, new resources, new forms of life. But we have also discovered something troubling. She pointed to the center of the map, where the Galactic Dominion's territory was marked in red. Your empire controls over 2,000 star systems. You have conquered dozens of intelligent species. You rule through military force and fear. And in 3,000 years, you have not changed. Admiral Vexter bristled. We have brought order to the galaxy. Before the Dominion, there was chaos. Wars between species. Destruction everywhere. We created peace. You created silence, Commander Beak corrected gently. That is not the same thing. The species you conquered, do they love the Empire? Or do they simply fear it? Have they grown and developed under your rule? Or have they remained exactly where you wanted them, unable to progress beyond what you allowed? The council members shifted uncomfortably. These were questions they did not often ask themselves. Commander Beak continued. Humanity almost destroyed itself through war and fear. We learned that true peace cannot be forced. It must be chosen. It must be built. It must be shared. That is why we are here. She changed the map. Now, it showed something different, lines connecting star systems, routes marked with symbols the council did not recognize. We want to trade with you. Not weapons. Not territory. Knowledge. Technology. Ideas. We want to show you what we have learned, and we want to learn from you in return. High Chancellor Mexnol leaned forward. What kind of technology? Let me show you. Commander Beak touched her device again. New images appeared, human inventions that made the Council's eyes widen. This is a medical device that can cure almost any disease. It repairs damaged cells at the genetic level. A patient who would die from illness can be healed in hours. She showed the next image. This is an agricultural system that can grow food in any environment: deserts, ice worlds, even asteroids. It uses almost no water and produces enough food for 1 million people from a single facility. Another image. This is a clean energy generator. It draws power from the vacuum of space itself. No fuel, no waste, no pollution. It runs forever. The council members stared at the images in disbelief. These technologies were beyond anything they had imagined. Any one of them would revolutionize the Empire. Why would you give us these things? Admiral Vexter asked suspiciously. What is the price? Commander Beak looked at him steadily. There is no price. Not in the way you mean. We will share these technologies freely with anyone who wants them. Freely? That is impossible. Nothing is free. In your experience, perhaps. But humans have learned that hoarding knowledge helps no one. When we share, we all grow stronger. When we hide, we all stay weak. She paused. Think about it, Admiral. Your empire has existed for 3,000 years. In that time, how much has your technology advanced? Admiral Vexter did not answer. He did not need to. The truth was obvious to everyone in the room. The Empire's technology had barely changed in centuries. Why improve when no one could challenge you? Why innovate when fear kept everyone in line? Humans had gone from splitting atoms to folding space in just 200 years. The Dominion had been stagnant for 10 times as long. Your offer is generous, High Chancellor Mexnol said carefully. But I must ask, why did you not simply destroy us? With your technology, you could have conquered the galaxy easily. Why come in peace? Commander Beak's expression softened. Chancellor, we have seen what conquest leads to. We almost ended our own civilization through violence. We watched billions die in wars that achieved nothing. We built weapons that could crack our planet in half. And we looked at the future we were creating and said, no, this is not who we want to be. She stood up and walked to the window. Outside, stars glittered in the endless dark. The universe is vast, Chancellor. There is room for everyone. There are resources enough for 1 million empires. The only thing that limits us is our imagination and our fear. She turned back to face them. We choose not to be afraid anymore. We choose to trust. We choose to hope. And we are asking you to make the same choice. The room was silent. Admiral Vexter and the council members looked at each other. They had expected threats. They had expected demands. They had expected the same kind of power games they had played for 3,000 years. Instead, they found a hand extended in friendship. Engineer Shin Yunji's words came back to Captain Park as he watched from the Horizon's bridge. When asked why they did not destroy the fleet, she had laughed and said, "Why would we? We came to make friends." It seemed so simple, so naive. Yet somehow, watching Commander Beak stand alone among the leaders of a vast empire, it also seemed like the bravest thing anyone had ever done. High Chancellor Mexnol finally spoke. We will need time to consider your proposal. This is not what we expected. Commander Beak bowed her head respectfully. Take all the time you need, Chancellor. We have waited 200 years to meet you. We can wait a little longer. She gathered her device and walked toward the door. But before she left, she turned back one more time. One last thing. We know that some species in your empire are unhappy. We know there are worlds that dream of freedom. We will not interfere with your internal affairs. But if any of those species wish to talk to us, we will listen. That is not a threat. It is simply a fact." She smiled warmly and stepped through the door, leaving the most powerful beings in the galaxy to contemplate a future they had never imagined. On the horizon, Captain Park watched her shuttle return. How did it go? Commander Beak stepped onto the bridge and let out a long breath. "I planted the seeds. Now we wait to see what grows." And somewhere across the galaxy, on 100 conquered worlds, word was beginning to spread. The humans had come, and they brought something the Empire had never allowed. Hope. The Imperial High Council chamber was the largest room in the galaxy. Its ceiling stretched so high that clouds sometimes formed inside. Its walls were covered with the flags of 2,000 conquered worlds. At the center sat 12 beings, each one representing the oldest and most powerful families of the Galactic Dominion. Today, they were afraid. Admiral Vexter's report had reached them 6 hours ago. At first, they had not believed it. A single ship that could absorb any weapon? A vessel that could jump through space faster than light? Technology that their greatest scientists could not understand. It sounded like a story told to frighten children, but the sensor data did not lie. The visual recordings did not lie. 300 warships had fired everything they had at this black vessel, and it had survived without a single mark. High Chancellor Mexinal, the oldest member of the council, spoke first. His voice was weak with age, but it still carried the weight of absolute authority. "We must understand what we are facing. Intelligence Officer Cho, you have been studying the humans since their transmission was received. Tell us everything." Intelligence Officer Cho Minji appeared on the main screen. She was aboard the Horizon, having been sent there 2 hours ago as part of a diplomatic exchange. She was the first human the Council had ever seen clearly, and they studied her with great interest. She was small compared to them, barely 2 meters tall, with brown skin and black hair tied behind her head. She looked fragile, weak. How could such a species build such ships? "Honored Council," Officer Cho began, "I will share what we have allowed the Empire to know about humanity. I do this in the spirit of building trust between our peoples." She touched her console, and a holographic display appeared. It showed a blue and green planet spinning slowly in space. "This is Earth, our home world. It is located in a star system you have not yet mapped, approximately 40,000 light-years from the center of your empire. We have been aware of the Galactic Dominion for approximately 200 years, though we have avoided contact until now." One of the council members leaned forward. "You knew about us? For 200 years? And you said nothing?" "We were not ready," Officer Cho said simply. "We needed time. Time to develop. Time to prepare. Time to decide what kind of neighbors we wanted to be." She changed the display. Now it showed images of human history, ancient cities, wars, machines, and finally the stars. Humanity is a young species by galactic standards. We have existed for only about 300,000 years. For most of that time, we lived simple lives on our single planet. We learned to use tools. We built civilizations. We created art and music and literature. The images shifted to show darker things: weapons, explosions, cities on fire. We also created war. Humans have fought each other since the beginning of our history. We are very good at it. Too good. Approximately 300 years ago, we developed weapons powerful enough to destroy our entire world. We called them nuclear weapons. They split atoms apart and released enormous energy. One bomb could kill millions. We built thousands of them. The council members shifted uncomfortably. They knew about nuclear technology. It was considered primitive by galactic standards, something that most species abandoned after discovering safer energy sources. For 50 years, we lived on the edge of extinction. Our nations pointed these weapons at each other. Everyone knew that if one side fired, everyone would die. It was a difficult time. Officer Cho paused. Her eyes were distant, as if she was seeing something far away. Then something changed. We realized that we had a choice. We could destroy ourselves, or we could unite. It took another 100 years, but eventually, humanity chose to unite. We stopped pointing weapons at each other. We started working together. And once we did that, the images on the display changed again. Now they show gleaming cities, massive space stations, and ships sailing through the cosmos. Once we stopped fighting ourselves, we turned our energy toward other things. Science, exploration, innovation. In 200 years, we went from nearly destroying our planet to traveling between stars. The same creativity that made us so dangerous also made us very, very good at solving problems. Chancellor Mexinel stroked his chin thoughtfully. This explains your technology, but it raises a troubling question. If you were capable of such violence among yourselves, why should we trust you? Officer Cho smiled. It was a sad smile, because we learned our lesson, Chancellor. We saw what we almost became. We saw the ashes we almost left behind. And we decided, as a species, that we would never walk that path again. The technology on our ships is not designed for war. The Horizon is an exploration vessel. Its defenses are meant to protect, not attack. We have no weapons that can destroy planets. We have no fleet of warships ready to conquer. We have only curiosity and a desire to learn. Another council member spoke up. You say your ship has no weapons, yet it could have destroyed our entire fleet in seconds. That is not a peaceful vessel. That is a threat. With respect, Officer Cho replied, any tool can be a weapon in the wrong hands. A hammer can build a house or break a skull. It depends on who holds it. The Horizon can do many things. We choose to use it for exploration. We could have come to your empire with a fleet of 1,000 ships. We could have conquered your worlds before you even knew we existed. But we did not. We came with one ship. We came in peace. Does that not tell you something about our intentions? The council was silent. They looked at each other, uncertainty written across their faces. For 3,000 years, they had understood the galaxy perfectly. Power came from military strength. Control came from fear. Species were either predators or prey, conquerors or conquered. But these humans did not fit into those categories. They had more power than the Empire. They could be the ultimate predators. Yet they spoke of peace and exploration. They had chosen not to fight. High Chancellor Mexinel made a decision. We will need time to discuss this among ourselves. But I have one more question, Intelligence Officer. Yes, Chancellor? The ship you arrived on, the Horizon, you said it is an exploration vessel. Is it your most advanced ship? Or do you have others that are even more powerful? Officer Cho hesitated. She glanced at something off-screen, as if receiving instructions. Then she turned back to face the council. Chancellor, I must be honest with you. The Horizon is one of our older vessels. It was built nearly 50 years ago. In terms of our current capabilities, it is considered outdated. The council chamber fell completely silent. The 12 most powerful beings in the galaxy stared at the small human woman on their screen. Their minds struggled to process what she had just said. If the Horizon was considered outdated by human standards, if this ship that had humiliated their entire fleet was just an old exploration vessel, then what else did humanity have? Chancellor Mexinel felt a chill run down his spine. For the first time in his 300 years of life, he understood something terrible. The Galactic Dominion was not the most powerful force in the universe. They had simply never met anything stronger. Until now. "Thank you, Intelligence Officer," he said quietly. "We will be in contact." The screen went dark. The 12 council members sat in silence, each one thinking the same thought. Everything they had built over 3,000 years, their empire, their power, their control suddenly seemed very small. And somewhere out there, beyond the edges of their maps, humanity was waiting. The universe had just become a much larger place. 1 year had passed since the horizon first appeared in Imperial space. In that time, everything had changed. Captain Park Do-hyun stood on the observation deck of the newly constructed Unity Station, watching ships come and go through the massive windows. The station floated at the edge of what used to be restricted Imperial territory, a neutral zone where humans and aliens could meet as equals. Today was a special day. The first joint exploration mission was about to launch. "Captain, the crew's ready." Lieutenant Kim Yuna appeared beside him. She looked different now, more confident, more experienced. The past year had changed all of them. "How many species are represented on the mission?" 12, sir. Including us. We have engineers from the Dominion, scientists from the Vakari Collective, navigators from the Talani Unity, and observers from 6 other species that were previously under Imperial control. Captain Park smiled. 6 months ago, such a gathering would have been impossible. The Empire had kept its conquered species separated, afraid of what might happen if they worked together. Now, those same species were standing side by side, preparing to explore unknown regions of the galaxy as partners. The Empire itself was changing, though slowly. High Chancellor Mexinol had accepted humanity's offer of technology sharing. The medical devices were already saving millions of lives across Dominion worlds. The agricultural systems were ending famines that had lasted for generations. For the first time in centuries, ordinary citizens were beginning to ask questions about what else might be possible. Not everyone was happy about the changes. Some members of the old guard resisted. Admiral Vexter had been one of them until 3 months ago, when his own daughter was saved by human medicine. A disease that Dominion doctors called incurable was gone in a matter of hours. After that, the Admiral became one of humanity's strongest supporters, Captain Park. A deep voice spoke from behind him. He turned to find Admiral Vexter approaching. The alien looked different than he had during their first encounter. Younger, somehow. Less tired. The constant weight of fear and suspicion had lifted from his shoulders. "Admiral, it is good to see you." "And you, Captain. I wanted to thank you personally before the mission begins." "Thank me." "For what?" The Admiral gestured toward the window, at the station and the ships and the beings from a dozen different worlds working together. "For this. For everything. 1 year ago, I was ready to destroy your ship. I was ready to start a war. And you offered me a choice. A different path. I did not understand it then. I am not sure I fully understand it now. But I am grateful." Captain Park nodded slowly. "It was not just me, Admiral. It was my whole crew. It was humanity. We made a decision a long time ago about who we wanted to be. We simply showed you that you had the same choice." They stood in silence for a moment, watching the activity below. Then the Admiral spoke again. "I must admit, I still do not fully understand your people. You have technology that could make you rulers of the galaxy. You could take whatever you wanted by force. But instead, you give it away. You share it with everyone, even your former enemies. Why?" Captain Park thought about the question carefully before answering. "When I was young," he said, "my grandmother told me a story. She grew up during the wars, the terrible wars that almost destroyed our world. She watched cities burn. She lost her family. She spent years living in fear, wondering if each day would be her last. He paused, remembering. After the wars ended and humanity began to rebuild, someone asked her what she had learned. And she said something I have never forgotten. She said, "The strongest person is not the one who can destroy. The strongest person is the one who can build. Anyone can tear down a house. But building one? That takes patience. That takes skill. That takes love." The Admiral listened quietly. "We could destroy the galaxy if we wanted to," Captain Park continued. "We could conquer every world, crush every enemy, rule through fear like so many others before us. But what would we have built? Just another empire of ashes and silence? No, we want something more. We want to build something that will last, not because people are afraid of us, but because they believe in what we are doing." Admiral Vexter was silent for a long moment. Then he nodded slowly. "Your grandmother was a wise woman." She was. And I hope I have made her proud. Below them, the joint exploration mission was preparing to depart. The lid ship was a new design built by human engineers, but crewed by beings from across the galaxy. Its name was painted on the hull in a dozen different languages. New Dawn. Commander Beek Jiwoo was leading the mission. She stood on the bridge of the New Dawn, looking at her crew. They were humans and Dominion soldiers and former conquered species, all working together, all wearing the same uniform, all serving the same purpose. "Are we ready?" she asked. Navigator Lee Tae-young, now promoted to first navigator, nodded from his station. "All systems online. The fleet is standing by. Then let us make history." The New Dawn began to move, followed by 5 other ships from the joint fleet. They passed through Unity Station's launch gates and accelerated toward the unknown regions of the galaxy, areas that no one had ever explored. Not even the Empire. On the observation deck, Captain Park watched them go. Engineer Shin Yoonji stood beside him, along with Intelligence Officer Cho Min-ji and the rest of the original Horizon crew. "Do you think this will work?" Shin Yoonji asked quietly. "Do you think we can really change things?" Captain Park considered the question. Around them, the station hummed with activity. Species that had been enemies for generations were sharing meals in the cafeteria. Children from different worlds played together in the recreation areas. Scientists from across the galaxy collaborated on projects that would have been impossible just 1 year ago. "I do not know if it will work forever," he admitted. "There will be setbacks. There will be people who resist change. There will be moments when it seems like everything is falling apart." He turned to look at his crew, his family. "But I believe in something my grandmother also said. She said that the darkness is never total. Even on the darkest night, there are stars. And every star is a sun that someone else can see from their own world. We do not have to light up the entire universe. We just have to be the star that someone else needs to see." He pointed at the New Dawn, now just a speck of light against the vast darkness of space. "That ship is our star. This station is our star. Every act of kindness, every moment of trust, every choice to build instead of destroy, these are the stars we leave behind. And someday, when beings look back at this moment, they will see not an empire of fear, but a constellation of hope." The crew of the Horizon stood together, watching the future depart toward unknown horizons. Behind them, the Galactic Dominion was slowly waking up to a new possibility. Across 1,000 worlds, people who had never known anything but fear were beginning to imagine something different. The Empire had been freaking out when humanity arrived with ships that should not exist. They had expected conquest. They had expected destruction. They had expected the same story that had repeated throughout galactic history. Instead, they found something they had forgotten could exist, a species that had learned from its mistakes, a people that had chosen hope over fear, A civilization that measured its strength not by what it could destroy, but by what it could build. Humanity did not conquer the stars. They simply showed everyone else how to reach them, and across the galaxy. For the first time in 3,000 years, the future looked bright. Captain Park Do-hyun smiled as the new dawn disappeared into the endless dark, carrying with it the dreams of 100 worlds. "Grandmother," he whispered softly, "I hope you can see this. We are building something beautiful, somewhere among the stars." It almost seemed like she answered. And the universe, vast and ancient and full of mysteries, watched with interest as a small species from a blue-green world showed everyone what it truly meant to be strong. Not through power, not through fear, but through the simple, revolutionary choice to be kind. Admiral Vexter paced back and forth across his bridge. His officers watched him in silence. No one dared to speak. The main screen still showed the black vessel floating peacefully among the 300 warships, completely undamaged after receiving enough firepower to destroy a small moon. "Run the scans again," the admiral ordered. "Sir, we have run them 17 times. The results are the same. We cannot penetrate their hull. We cannot read their power systems. We cannot identify their engine type. It is as if the ship exists outside our understanding of physics." Admiral Vexter stopped pacing. He had spent his entire life studying warfare. He knew every ship design in the galaxy. He knew every weapon, every shield, every tactical advantage. But this was beyond him. "Contact the High Command. Tell them we have a situation." "Sir, what should I tell them exactly?" The admiral looked at the black ship on his screen. "Tell them that we have encountered something that should not exist." On the horizon, the crew remained calm. Lieutenant Kim Yuna monitored the absorption fields while running calculations on her console. The fields had taken in an enormous amount of energy from the Imperial attack. That energy was now stored in the ship's core, ready to be used if needed. "Captain, the energy we absorbed is enough to power our ship for the next 50 years, she reported. "They essentially gave us free fuel." Captain Park Do-hyun allowed himself a small smile. "The irony is not lost on me. Navigator Lee, what is the status of our dimensional drive?" Lee Tae-young checked his instruments. "Fully operational, sir. I can execute a full jump at any time. I have already calculated 17 different exit points within this fleet's formation." 17? "Show me." The young navigator brought up a holographic display. It showed the positions of all 300 Imperial ships. Scattered among them were 17 glowing dots, the points where the horizon could instantly appear using its dimensional folding technology. If we execute all 17 jumps in sequence, we can appear at each point for approximately 0.2 seconds before moving to the next. Total time for the complete sequence would be 3.4 seconds. Engineer Shin Yoonji looked up from her station. What would be the purpose of such a maneuver? Captain Park turned to face his crew. "It would show them that we can be anywhere we want, whenever we want. Their weapons cannot hurt us. Their numbers mean nothing. We could destroy them all if we wished. But we will not," said Commander Baek Ji-woo. She had been quiet until now, standing near the back of the bridge with her arms crossed. She was the ship's diplomatic officer, a woman of 45 with a reputation for solving impossible problems with words instead of weapons. "We did not come here to make enemies." "No, we did not," Captain Park agreed. "But sometimes a demonstration of power is necessary before peace can begin. If they do not understand what we can do, they will keep attacking. More ships will come. More weapons will be fired. And eventually, someone will get hurt." Outside, Admiral Vexter had made a decision. If conventional weapons did not work, perhaps something else would. He opened a channel to his fleet. All ships, prepare the gravity bombs. Target the unknown vessel. We will crush it. Gravity bombs were the Empire's most terrible weapon. They created artificial black holes that lasted for only a few seconds. But in those seconds, they could tear apart anything caught in their pull. They were expensive, dangerous, and usually reserved for destroying entire planets. But the Admiral was desperate. On the horizon, Lieutenant Kim detected the new threat. Captain, they are preparing gravity bombs. I count 47 of them being armed across the fleet. Captain Park sighed. They really do not want to talk. Sir, gravity bombs could be dangerous. Our absorption fields are designed for energy weapons, not gravitational anomalies. Then we will not let them fire. The captain stood up. Navigator Lee, execute the demonstration sequence. Show them what we can do. Lee Taeyong's fingers flew across his console. Initiating dimensional fold sequence in 3, 2, 1. The horizon vanished. Admiral Vexter blinked. One moment the black ship was there. The next, it was gone. Before he could even process this, alarm screamed across his bridge. Admiral! The vessel has appeared directly behind the Crusher. The Crusher was one of the largest battleships in the fleet. It was over 5 kilometers long and carried a crew of 10,000. The black ship had appeared less than 100 meters from its stern, close enough to touch. Then the horizon vanished again. It is now beside the Vengeful. Another jump. Now above the Emperor's fist. Another. Now below the Dominance. Admiral, it is directly beneath us. Vexter looked at the tactical display in horror. The black ship was appearing everywhere, jumping from point to point faster than his eyes could follow. It was beside one ship, then behind another, then above a third. In less than 4 seconds, it had appeared at 17 different locations throughout his entire fleet. And then it stopped, returning to its original position in the center of the formation. Admiral, his tactical officer's voice was shaking. During those jumps, the vessel was within weapons range of every ship in our fleet. If it had fired, if it had any weapons at all, we would all be dead, Admiral Vexter finished. His throat was dry. His hearts were pounding in his chest. It could have destroyed us all in seconds, and there was nothing we could have done to stop it. On the horizon, Captain Park opened the communication channel once more. Admiral Vexter, I hope that demonstration was clear. We did not wish to harm you or your fleet. We did not fire a single shot. But I want you to understand something very important. The Admiral stared at the human's face on his screen. What? We chose not to fire. We chose peace. That choice is our gift to you. Please accept it. Admiral Vexter slowly sat down in his command chair. His mind was racing. The Empire had conquered thousands of species across the galaxy. They had done so through superior firepower, through fear, through overwhelming force. No one had ever challenged them because no one could match their military might. But these humans, these strange creatures from an unknown world, they possessed technology that made the entire Imperial fleet look like children's toys. They could be anywhere in an instant. They could absorb any weapon. They could have destroyed everything. And yet they asked for peace. What do you want? The Admiral asked quietly. Captain Park smiled. Just to talk. To share. To learn from each other. We have traveled a very long way, Admiral. We did not come here to make war. We came because we were curious. Because we wanted to meet our neighbors among the stars. Neighbors? The Admiral almost laughed. You speak as if we are equals. Are we not? We are both intelligent species, exploring the universe, trying to understand our place in it. Our ships are different. Our bodies are different. But is that really so important? Admiral Vexter was silent for a long moment. Around him, his officers waited. The crews of 300 ships waited. The entire fleet held its breath. Finally, the admiral spoke. "Stand down all weapons. Cancel the gravity bombs." He paused, then added, "Open a secure channel to the Imperial High Council. Tell them I need to speak with them urgently." "What should I say, Admiral?" Vexter looked at the black ship on his screen, at the humans who had shown him something he never expected. "Tell them that everything we thought we knew might be wrong." On the horizon, Commander Beak Jiwoo moved to stand beside Captain Park. "That went better than expected." "It went exactly as I hoped," the captain replied. "Fear is easy. Anyone can create fear. But convincing someone not to be afraid, that is the real challenge. And I think, Commander, that we have just taken the first step." The horizon floated peacefully among the Imperial warships, a single black vessel surrounded by 300 giants. And for the first time in 3,000 years, the giants were the ones who felt small. The alarms on the Imperial flagship Dominance screamed loud enough to wake the dead. Admiral Vexter jumped from his command chair, his 4 eyes blinking fast as the red lights flashed across the bridge. In his 40 years of service to the Galactic Dominion, he had never heard this particular alarm. It was the sound that meant something unknown had entered their space. "Report," he shouted, his deep voice cutting through the chaos. His sensor officer, a thin creature with scales covering his body, turned around with fear on his face. "Admiral, we have detected a vessel. It came from the outer rim. It is approaching the restricted zone." Admiral Vexter walked to the main display screen. The restricted zone was the heart of the Empire. No one entered without permission. No one dared. The Galactic Dominion controlled over 2,000 star systems. They had crushed every rebellion. They had destroyed every enemy. For 3,000 years, they had ruled with an iron fist. "Show me this vessel," he commanded. The screen flickered and displayed the ship. Admiral Vexter felt his blood run cold. The vessel was unlike anything he had ever seen. It was black, so black that it seemed to swallow the light around it. Its shape was smooth and elegant, like a blade cutting through the darkness of space. There were no visible weapons. There were no visible engines. It simply moved forward, silent and steady. "What species does it belong to?" the Admiral asked. "Unknown, sir. We have no record of this design in our database." Admiral Vexter clenched his fists. Unknown. He hated that word. The Empire knew everything. They had mapped every corner of the galaxy. They had cataloged every species. How could something be unknown? "Send a message to all nearby fleets. Tell them to converge on my position. We will surround this intruder and demand answers." Within 2 hours, 300 Imperial warships had gathered. They formed a massive wall of metal and firepower around the lone black vessel. Each warship was the size of a small city. Each one carried enough weapons to destroy a planet. Together, they represented the might of the greatest empire the galaxy had ever known. On the bridge of the black vessel, Captain Park Do-hyun sat calmly in his chair. He was a man in his 50s, with gray hair and tired eyes that had seen too much. Behind him, his crew of 20 worked quietly at their stations. The ship was called the Horizon, and it was humanity's first vessel to travel this far into the galaxy. "Captain, we are surrounded," said Lieutenant Kim Yuna from the tactical station. She was young, barely 30, with sharp eyes and quick hands. "I count 300 warships. They are charging their weapons." Captain Park nodded slowly. "Expected. We knew the Empire would not welcome strangers." Navigator Lee Tae-young looked up from his console. He was the youngest on the crew, just 25, but he was the best pilot Earth had ever produced. Sir, should I prepare escape routes? Not yet. Let us see what they want first. The communication screen lit up. A face appeared, Admiral Vexter. His gray skin was stretched tight over his skull. His 4 yellow eyes burned with anger and suspicion. Unknown vessel, you have entered restricted space of the Galactic Dominion. Identify yourself immediately, or you will be destroyed. Captain Park leaned forward. Admiral, my name is Park Doan. I am the captain of the Earth vessel Horizon. We come from a planet called Earth, in a system you have not yet visited. We come in peace. We mean no harm. Admiral Vexter laughed. It was not a friendly laugh. Peace? You enter our space without permission, and you speak of peace? Your ship is strange. Your origin is unknown. You are either very brave or very stupid. Perhaps both, Captain Park said with a small smile. But I assure you, we have no hostile intentions. We are explorers, nothing more. The Admiral's eyes narrowed. Explorers do not travel alone into the heart of an empire. Explorers do not possess ships that our sensors cannot fully read. What are you hiding? Lieutenant Kim Yuna whispered to the captain. Sir, they are running deep scans on our hull. They cannot penetrate our shielding. Captain Park nodded. He knew this would happen. The Horizon was built with technology that the rest of the galaxy could not understand. It was not meant to be a weapon. It was simply the result of human innovation centuries of progress after humanity had almost destroyed itself. Admiral, I am not hiding anything. I simply cannot explain our technology in a way you would accept. I ask only for the chance to speak, to share knowledge, to build a bridge between our peoples. Admiral Vexter slammed his fist on his armrest. You will share nothing. You will surrender your vessel for inspection, or you will be destroyed. This is your only warning. The communication ended. The screen went dark. Engineer Shin Yunji looked up from her station at the back of the bridge. She was a quiet woman in her 40s, more comfortable with machines than people. Captain, their weapons are fully charged. All 300 ships are targeting us. Captain Park sighed. He had hoped it would not come to this. Lieutenant Kim, activate the absorption fields. Already done, sir. We are ready. Outside, Admiral Vexter gave the order. All ships fire. The space around the horizon exploded with light. Thousands of plasma rounds, missiles, and energy beams shot toward the black vessel from every direction. The firepower was enough to crack a moon in half. It was enough to turn a planet's surface to glass. It was the combined might of 300 Imperial warships. The crew of the Horizon watched calmly as the storm of destruction approached. Lieutenant Kim Yuna counted down. Impact in 3, 2, 1. The weapons hit the ship, and nothing happened. The plasma rounds touched the black hull and simply disappeared. The missiles exploded against an invisible barrier and left no mark. The energy beams bent around the ship like water flowing around a stone. The Horizon floated there, untouched, unharmed, as if nothing had happened at all. On the Dominance, Admiral Vexter stared at his screen in disbelief. What? What is this? His weapons officer was shaking. Admiral, our attacks had no effect. The vessel absorbed everything. Every single shot. There is no damage. Not even a scratch. The Admiral's 4 eyes went wide. In 3,000 years, no ship had ever survived a full assault from an Imperial fleet. No shield technology in the galaxy could absorb that much firepower. It was impossible. What manner of ship is this? He whispered Dodd on the Horizon. Captain Park Do-hyun opened the communication channel again. His face appeared on every screen in the Imperial fleet. His voice was calm and steady. Admiral Vexter, as I said, we come in peace. I would prefer not to demonstrate what else our ship can do. Please, let us talk. The Admiral did not answer. He could not. For the first time in his long career, he felt something he had never felt before. Fear. The Empire had met something it could not destroy. And that changed everything.